Chapter 35 Ashtavakra. While the Pandavas were wandering among holy places in the forest, they came up one day to the hermitage of the personages immortalized in the Upanishads. Lamosa told Yudhishthira the story of that place. Uddakala, a great sage and teacher of the Vedanta, had a disciple named Kagola, who was virtuous and devoted but had no great learning. So the other disciples used to laugh and mock at him. Uddakala, however, attached no great weight to his disciple's lack of erudition, but really appreciated his virtues, devotion, and good conduct, and gave his daughter Sujata in marriage to him. The couple was blessed with a son. A child generally inherits the characteristics of both the parents, but unfortunately, the grandson of Uddalaka took after his grandfather rather than his father, and knew the Vedas even while he was in his mother's womb. When Kagola made mistakes, as he often did in reciting the Vedas, the child in the womb would twist his body with pain. And so it came to pass that he had 8 crooks in his body when he was born. These 8 crooks earned him the name Ashtavakra, which means 8 crooks. Kagola, one ill-fated day, provoked a polemical contest with Vandi, the court scholar of Mithila, and having been defeated was made to drown himself. Meanwhile, Ashtavakra grew up to be a towering scholar even in his boyhood, and at the age of 12 he had already completed his study of the Vedas and the Vedanta. One day Ashtavakra learned that Janaka, the king of Mithila, was performing a great sacrifice in the course of which the assembled scholars would as usual debate on the Shastras. Ashtavakra sent out to Mithila accompanied by his uncle Ashtavakra. On their way to the place of sacrifice at Mithila, they came across the king and his retinue. The attendants of the king marched in front shouting, "Move away, make way for the king." Ashtavakra, instead of moving out of the way, said to the retainers, "O royal attendants, even the king, if he is righteous, has to move and make way for the blind, the deformed, the fair sex, the persons bearing loads and brahmanas learned in the Vedas. This is the rule enjoined by the scriptures." The king, surprised at these wise words of the Brahmana boy, accepted the justness of the rebuke and made way, observing to his attendants, "What this Brahmana striping says is true. Fire is fire, whether it is tiny or big, and it has the power to burn." Ashtavakra and Ashtavakra entered the sacrificial hall. The gatekeeper stopped them and said, "Boys cannot go in. Only old men learned in the Vedas may go in to the sacrificial hall." Ashtavakra replied, "We are not mere boys. We have observed the necessary vows and have learned the Vedas. Those who have mastered the truths of the Vedanta will not judge another on mere considerations of age and appearance." The gatekeeper said, "Stop. Have done with your idle brag. How can you, a mere boy, have learned and realized the Vedanta?" The boy said, "You mean I am not big like an overgrown gourd with no substance in it. Size is no indication of no knowledge or worth, nor is age. A very tall old man may be a tall old fool. Let me pass." The gatekeeper said, "You are certainly not old, nor tall, though you talk like all the hoary sages. Get out." Ashtavakra replied, "Gatekeeper, grey hairs do not prove the rippleness in the soul. The really matured man is the one who has learned the Vedas and the Vedantas, mastered their gists, and realized their essence. I am here to meet the court Pandit Vandi. Inform the king Janaka of my desire." At that moment, the king himself came there and easily recognized Ashtavakra, the preciously boy who he had met before. The king asked, "Do you know that my court Pandit Vandi has overthrown in argument many great scholars in the past and caused them to be cast into the ocean? Does that not deter you from the dangerous adventure?" Ashtavakra replied, "Your eminent scholar has not hitherto to encounter men like me who are proficient in the Vedas or Vedanta. He has become arrogant in vain, with easy victories over good men who are not real scholars. I have come here to repay the debt due on the account of my father, who was defeated by this man and made to drown himself, as I have heard from my mother. I have no doubt I shall vanquish Vandi, whom you will see crumple up like a broken wheeled cart. Please summon him." Ashtavakra met Vandi. They took up a debatable thesis and started an argument, each employing his utmost learning and wits to confound to each other. And in the end, the assembly unanimously declared the victory of Ashtavakra, and he defeated Vandi. The court of Pandit Mithila bowed his head and paid the forfeit by drowning himself in the ocean and going to the abode of Varuna. Then the spirits of Kagola, the father of Ashtavakra, gained peace and joy in glory of his son. The author of the epic instructs us through the words put in Kagola's mouth. A son need not be like his father. A father who is physically weak may have a very strong son, and an ignorant father may have a scholarly son. It is wrong to assess the greatness of a man on his physical appearance or age. External appearances are deceptive, which shows that the unlearned Kagola was not devoid of common sense.